file called output.txt, which is in the same directory from where I launched SQL+. In fact, I'm going to go to the OS level, and I'm going to type in type, which is a DOS command, shows us the contents of our file. I'll say output.txt, and there's our stuff. And what's new to Oracle 10G is the ability to append stuff to an already existing file. For example, we already have our file called output.txt. I've turned the spooling off. I'd like to add some stuff to that file. So I get back to my SQL Plus prompt, and I'm going to issue another statement that's completely different. I'll just say, select star from department. Okay, now how about putting this output, appending it to the file? So we'll say spool output.txt append. Now let's execute the statement and then turn our spooling off. Now we can look at the contents. Host type output.txt. You see how it's been tacked on the end here? Very nice. So we can also use a text editor to modify our query. Here's what's in our buffer. If you type in edit, or ed for short, it's going to launch a text editor. In this case, in Windows, it's going to launch most likely Notepad. If you're in Unix or Linux, it will either launch VI or ED. Now, I see some of you already cringing when I say the word VI. That's okay. We can modify our editor to be something else. I'll show you that in just a moment. We make whatever modifications we want to our query, and we save it, and then exit out. You'll see that our query is now changed, and we re-execute it. Okay, looks good. There's a built-in variable called underscore editor. If you want to see what that's set to, you can say define underscore editor, and here it says Notepad. If you want to change it to something else, that's fine. All you do is say define underscore editor equals, and then whatever the path is to that program. Just like that. Back to our query. There's our buffer. Now, let's change our where clause. Make line 3 our current line. Do a quick little change. And we're going to replace the word president with a variable. Variables are defined with an ampersand. So ampersand P. So now let's execute it. Now we're prompted for a value. So we've got an interactive script going on. Okay. I just pulled the variable P out of my head. I mean, it could have been anything. It could have been X. If you've got a variable that you're going to use twice in a statement, then you can use the double ampersand so you won't be prompted twice for it. In other words, let's just shake this query up a little bit. For line 3, I'll add a where clause. Okay, where salary is greater than double ampersand X and commission is greater than double ampersand X. Okay, so let's execute the query by hitting /. It prompts me once. It only prompts me the first time for X. So I'll put in 1,000, and 1,000 gets plugged in twice. So here on the old line, it shows us what our original statement looks like, and new shows us how it got plugged in. Okay, so what's interesting about this is if I hit / again to re-execute it, I won't be prompted for anything because it's already, that value is already set. So how do we undefine that variable? Well, you simply say undefine X. Okay, so now you can hit /, now you're prompted again. So I'm going to hit 1200 this time. There we go. Now there's one more type of variable that I just want to briefly mention, and that's what we call bind variables. A bind variable is one that is defined in SQL+, and then it's used within a PL SQL block. Well, we're not covering PL SQL quite yet, but we will get to that later. Okay, just to show you how to create one of those variables, you'd say var, and then the name and the data type. So that's all I'm going to mention about it now, and we will come back to this. As a DBA, you'll often want to go to the OS level and look at files, copy files, move them around. So here we're going to type in host to get to the OS level. There we go. And now if we want to see our text file, we'll just use the wild character, myfile.txt. It's there. Notice we're still at our OS prompt. If we want to get back to our SQL+ prompt, type in exit. In fact, if you just have a one-time OS command that you want to execute, you can type in host and then the command. And you're immediately taken back to your SQL plus prompt. Here's another example. We can look at the contents of my file. So we'll say host type myfile.txt. There we go. I've made a nice interactive script called department changes. Let's take a look at it. And all it has is 4 SQL statements. The first 3 lines are really just SQL plus formatting, which are going to affect the 2 select statements down here. So our first select is just splashing all the employees to the screen. Then we're going to echo to the screen. Your department is getting a fat 50% raise. That prompt command is a SQL plus command, and think of that as an echo statement. Okay, now to make our script interactive, we need to prompt the user for some data. So when we say accept and some variable name, prompt, and then a string, really what this is doing is splashing the screen to the screen and then prompting for a variable, D. Okay, so we're going to type in the number 20 for our department and then update emp, set sal equals sal times 1.5. Let's get that nice 50% raise where department number equals D. So your D is actually getting set up here. Okay, so in this statement down here, our D is also going to get plugged in from above. And then last but not least, we're going to splash all the employees to the screen again just to see the effect. Okay, so let's go ahead and execute this. We'll say department changes. And it asks us, what is your department number? Well, it's 20. Okay, so it looks like 5 rows were updated. 1 row was deleted. We got rid of our manager. Isn't your life a lot better? And here's what our data now looks like. Looks like our salary is a little higher now. That's good. Some queries that you execute are going to give you lots and lots of records back, and you want to be able to actually paginate through that stuff. For example, if we're querying from all tables, that's showing us all the tables in the database that we have access to. Well, look at all these results coming back. I mean, what if I had 1,000,000 records coming back? Could I really scroll all the way up? I don't think so. So the set pause on command does just that. It paginates your output. So let's re-execute our statement. The first time you get the page, you actually have to hit enter twice. Okay, there's our first page, there's our second page, and so on. Okay, once again, if you want to make your page sizes larger, you can do that. For example, set page size 35. Now let's re-execute that. Looks a little better, doesn't it? Well, the set pause on command is one of those commands that I always want to have turned on. So what we can do is put that statement inside of an initialization script. In SQL+, the script is called login.sql. It's a lot like .profile if you've dealt with Unix or Linux. In order to use it, you have to have an environment variable called SQL path on your OS level. Okay, so I'm going to type in host set SQL path, see what it's set to. Okay, it's set to my Oracle product directory. So it's in that directory that I want to have my file called login.sql. And I can put whatever SQL plus statements I want to in there. And so here's our file called login.sql, and it's used by each and every user on the database system. Now, as the DBA, you can also create a file called glogin.sql, and that's kind of like the etc profile file in Unix and Linux. It affects everyone, and then their individual login.sql will overwrite what you've got. We've only covered a handful of SQL+ commands. I want to show you where to find the full list and how to use it. So we can type in help and the keyword index. So that's the complete list right there of SQL+ commands. Now, if you want to find out more detailed information, you can say help and then the command. For example, help define. That shows us the proper syntax. So one of the commands in here is ttitle. That stands for top title, and we also have btitle for bottom title. So you can kind of do some real basic report formatting. So here we're setting our ttitle to be top of my page. Btitle is bottom of my page. The page size is 200. Now we execute our query. Woo! Went right off the page. Now why did that happen?